Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa ba'd. So, at the last part, I was talking about how I destroyed the good opportunity I had to actually work for my money. And then I went the path of trying to just get the money easily. And as we know, whenever you easy come, easy go is one issue. And also the other issue is the things that whenever you take that easy path, it always causes more problems in your life. And people who work hard for a living and put in a lot of work, to get what they got, they never have the types of problems as obviously the individuals that take that easy route, especially this pharmaceutical route. Allahumma musta'an. So this is what became of me, my profession and what I started doing. And then, and of course, the thing about it is this type of lifestyle, it brings a lot of different types of companions with it. And of course, these are not companions that are going to be, telling you to do the good things and hey man, you should be going to the masjid, you should be praying, you should be reading the Quran, you should be, trying to learn your religion, you should be, reading hadith, you should, obviously these are not going to be the types of companions that I'm around. So instead, what I ended up being around was a bunch of drug addicts and strippers, so Allahumma musta'an. And this just became the reality of my life at that time, unfortunately, even though, still at this time, I'm still, I haven't really started practicing the religion yet. I mean, I'm still in this communist mindset, and I don't think I was even praying at this time still. When I started taking this lifestyle choice, I was still not praying. I was still, I don't think I was drinking too much. I think I stopped drinking, if I'm not, because it's so long ago, Allahumma musta'an. But I don't remember. No, I mean, I think I just I would smoke weed and smoke cigarettes, and that was it. Other than that, I wouldn't do anything else. And I would just read. So at this point, when my lifestyle became like this, where I would have people from 4 o'clock in the afternoon, probably up until 11 o'clock. It depends on the days. That's the busy time. That was when everybody's coming to me. I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this. I have a headache. I need some medicine. That type of thing, right? So normally I would probably deal with the last person about 11 o'clock. And the neighborhood that I lived in, because we were all cool. So there was no issues. Nobody's, even though I had cars just coming up to my mother's house, all day long. All day long. From 4 o'clock up until 11 o'clock, you have people coming, people walking to my house, people driving up to my house. But nobody, in those days, the whole neighborhood, we were all together. So nobody's going to call the police. Nobody. I mean, even on certain nights, I go to my, because I live behind the houses off the main road. And I will go out to the corner of the main street where I lived at. And the whole neighborhood's on the porch. Everybody in the neighborhood. So nobody's going to, we didn't have those types of issues. So, I mean, I could be very open about what I was doing as far as trying to heal the people with these types of pharmaceuticals along with time. But, and that was just a life. So I just kind of that's why I stayed in my neighborhood. I didn't go out, so everybody just came to me. And anybody in the neighborhood, there's a girl there. Her name was Sonia. She was my neighbor. And they used to give her money. She'd come to the back and I give her the headache medicine. And then she take the headache medicine to the person, stuff like that. It would just be it would, that's just the way it went. So Allahumma musta'an. And that was my life, for like I said, from 4 o'clock in the afternoon up until 11. And then as soon as I because back in those days, we had pagers. We didn't have cell phones. So I would get pages, people, saying I'm on my way and stuff like this. And then it would just get to a point where I would stop answering it, I mean, I wouldn't get any more pages after 11 generally. By 11 o'clock, everybody had gotten, the headache medicine that they needed, and then they went on about their business, and nobody bothered me. At that point, that's when my mother would go to sleep, and I would go out into the living room, I'd grab a book, whatever I was reading at the time, and I would read from 11 o'clock until about 6 o'clock in the morning. Probably 7. I mean, I never had a watch on, so I never checked the time. But all I know is my mother, she would get up, she would come out of her room to go to work, and I would get up and I would go to my room and go to sleep. So I mean, and that was every day. So all of these different books, I would just sit up and I would just read all night long. So this although this lifestyle, it was a horrible lifestyle, and it brought me a lot of problems, you know. And obviously it's haram. I mean, it's haram, and it's not bringing you closer to Allah. It's taking you further. It's taking me further away from Allah, you know. But at the same time, it afforded me that opportunity where I could just, I mean, I would have been doing something stupid probably in those times anyways, because like I said, I wasn't practicing the religion. I mean, I wouldn't, you know. So at that time, I mean, what was I gonna be doing? So me sitting up, and I was taking the money. I was going to bookshops all the time. I found a used bookshop. It was out on Atlantic Boulevard. Because back in those days, we walk. If we didn't get a ride, I wouldn't sit around and wait for somebody to take me. In Jacksonville, this time, if I'm not mistaken, my license had been suspended, you know, because we went to Georgia. I got a ticket in Georgia and got another ticket back in Jacksonville. And my car, it broke down, like, for good. So I was like, what am I pay all these tickets for? And I don't have a car anyways, so I just didn't pay them. So my license ended up getting suspended. So, you know, then at this time now, I'm just like, you know, I would just walk everywhere. So literally, like, from my house, if you check on Google Maps, I guess you could say, I lived on, it's a street called Leon Road, but I lived off of Beach Boulevard in Jacksonville. And all of this stuff, like the bookshops, they were all out on Atlantic Boulevard. So I had to walk. If you look on Leon, if you look at Leon Road, it's a street that goes straight up. And then there's like a wooded area that separates my neighborhood from the neighborhood above me, which is the Brookview neighborhood. So I had to walk through that wooded area. There's like paths that go through this wooded area. It's probably like I mean, if you took it side by side, it's probably like about five football fields wide. Like, it's about five football field long and about 5 football fields wide. Or maybe, okay, maybe 3 to 5. It's a very wide wooded area. I mean, where nothing was being built there. So I had to walk through this, then go to the other neighborhood, then walk up to Atlantic Boulevard, get to the bookshop. I buy a bag of books. I always buy like 4, 5, 6 books, and I walk back home and start reading. So it's just all the time. This was my lifestyle. So and I also started getting at this time getting back into the jail workout, right? Because I figured, okay, now with my new lifestyle, I'm probably gonna end up back in jail pretty soon. So like, I started, instead of just like, you know, well, actually what I started to do instead, like I said, the cutoff point was like at 11 o'clock. So from 9 o'clock, I will go out. We had this deck, like this wooden deck outside in the back of the house, because we lived in a mobile home. So, but if you looked at it, you wouldn't tell it was a mobile home. It looked like a house, right? And we had a big deck. They went out into the back. So I used to go out there. I had weights, and then I used to do dips off the railing of the deck, and then and just do push-ups. I would do push-ups. So I would start doing this from like 9 o'clock. So I would always my workout in those days, even outside of jail, was always, I would do 500 push-ups every other day. Whatever else I did, pull-ups, dips, I would maybe bench press. I had a punching bag. I would punch the punching bag. All of that was after I did that 500 push. Like, I would do those 500 push-ups, and then whatever else was just like, you know, extra credit, you know. So like the 500 push-ups every other day, that was like my daily, like my every other day vitamin. Like, I had to do that first. I mean, I would do that no matter what. Even sometimes if me and my friends, we were going to go out to, like, they wanted to go out to like a bar or go out to a club, I would get the 500 push-ups in before. Sometimes I would be dressed to go, but I'm still doing the push-ups. And I'd be like, wait, we can't leave yet. You know, I'm not finished. I'm on 440. You know, because I would do 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20. So I would do 20 regular push-ups. Then I would do 20 push-ups, like, not 20, I mean 5 sets of 20. So 100 push-ups on my, just regular. And 5 sets of 20 on my fingers, 5 sets of 20 on my fists, 5 sets of 20 wide, and then 5 sets of 20 like incline. No, not incline. No, I used to do the diamonds. I never did the inclines. Sometimes I would switch it up, and instead of doing them on my fists, I would do them on an incline. But like that, 500 every time. But I wouldn't just do regular. I would switch it up. The diamonds, the regular push-ups, and the fingertip push-ups. Those are the main that I always did at least 100, 100, 100. Sometimes I might just do 200 extra regular push-ups if I was in a hurry, you know, and I didn't feel like, you know, doing all the extra movements and all that. But like the wire push-ups, all you know, this is like every other day, no matter what. I would not go out of my house until I did that. So even if like all the neighbors were hanging out at the end of the street, at my neighbor on my neighbor's porch. I would be on the back in my backyard just doing push-ups until I finished, and then I would go down and hang out. That was my life, and I would do that from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock every single night, every other night. Like if I wasn't doing those like the push-ups, then I would be out there just doing other stuff. But I was working out like every day. I don't think that I ever took a day off. But see, the interesting thing in this time, and this is kind of interesting, is that I used to listen to Islamic lectures. I wasn't out there listening to music. So because I was reading books, and I had a whole tape collection of Malcolm X, like all the Malcolm X tapes. Because my mother, when she was locked up, they sentenced her to this rehabilitation facility. It was out on Parental Home Road in Jacksonville. So this is all the different people, like they had drug issues. So instead of sending them to prison, they sent them to this home, and they were locked up in this home. But it was men and women. I mean, they separated them, but they interacted throughout the day. So my mother, she had a close friend. His name was John E. And John E was a Nation of Islam dude. I mean, he was like a Muslim, right? But I think he was more along the lines of the WD Muhammad, type Muslims, where they still kind of like Nation of Islam, but they pray, they fast, Ramadan, so they're like Muslims, but they still have like a lot of remnants left over of the Nation of Islam still in them. So when he got released, and my mother, she had everybody over at the house, all of the drug rehab people, they were all at the house one time. She had a reunion at the house, and of course my mother told him that I had become Muslim. So he said, look, he said, oh, you're Muslim. He said, I got something for you then. So he came and brought me this whole tape, this box, because back in those days we had these boxes that we used to put the tapes in. You zip it up and it protects the tapes, right? So he brought me this whole box, this thing, right, this container with all these tapes in it, with the zip thing on it, right? And it had like Malcolm X and Louis Farrakhan. So and he gave me this when I was like young, like I was like 15 years old when he gave me this. So this was like, but I had it throughout that whole time, so I would constantly listen to that stuff, listening to the tapes of Malcolm X, listen to the Louis Farrakhan, and then I listened to like Jamil Alameen, Siraj Wahaj, because like I said, at this time, there's nothing. Like the word Salafi was not even, nothing. I mean, I said we have books of hadith and we read the hadith, but the only thing that we knew was like Siraj Wahaj, Jamil Alameen, and these types of individuals. We didn't know anything about like Sheikh Al-Albani, Sheikh Mobil, Sheikh Al-Uthaymeen, Sheikh bin Baz. This is like later, all this stuff will start to come later. And it's not that much later, in fact, because this is also the time where, the Salafi dawah started to spread in America, but not in Jacksonville. In Jacksonville, no. In Jacksonville, I'm still, our biggest excitement in those days was Siraj Wahaj. That was it. Siraj Wahaj, man, I used to call him, collect calls from the jail. And I tell you, man, as much as people like to talk about Siraj, wallahi, as far as being a good person and really loving Muslims, Siraj, alhamdulillah, he doesn't have knowledge. He didn't go out and seek knowledge like that, so he doesn't have knowledge, and he mixes with a lot of people that you wish he didn't mix with. But boy, I'm telling you, man, as far as a person that actually loves Muslims, I wish like I could have his love for Muslims, but still follow the Salah, still follow the Quran and Sunnah the way, like if still, like the ulama. But I mean, obviously, we wish that we had the love for the Muslims that the ulama have, obviously. But that man would always accept my collect calls from jail and always talk to me. And he actually knew me because of me asking what time it was. Because one time we were in Pennsylvania, and he was waking everybody up for Fajr. It was a big conference. I can't remember. Maybe it was like one of those ICNA conferences, because I was like young. I don't know. I just, wherever they said, hey, there's a conference, let's go, I just went. And I was 15 years old, maybe 15 or 16 at this time. And so I mean, it was for Fajr one day, and he was going around knocking on the doors. So I opened the door before he knocked. He was just about to knock, and I was like, man, what time is it, Akhi? So he started laughing at me. He's like, man, it's time to pray. That's what time it is, And then he started going and knocking on the doors. But ever since that day, all I had to do to remind him, in those days, I mean, obviously he probably forgot me now, but I'm saying in those days, all I had to do was just go up to him and say, man, what time is it, Akhi? He's like, you. I was like, yeah. Even when he came to Jacksonville, like when he got done talking, I went on stage and I told him, I was like, what time is it, Akhi? He's like, you out of jail? I was like, yeah. So, mashallah, man. But, I mean, that was the environment. But, I mean, I was still listening to, like, those types of tapes back then. Because we, like I said, we didn't have any knowledge of, like, the Quran and Sunnah and the ulama and stuff like that. Obviously, we don't speak Arabic. So, even if we knew who these ulama were, how are we going to understand what they're saying? So, and then, like I said, those days were just like push-ups, 9 to 11. Once that last person came and bought whatever they needed to buy for their headaches, then I went and I started reading. And like I said, I stayed up all night. In these days, I didn't drink no coffee. I never drank coffee. And I never, I didn't drink Pepsi. I didn't drink coffee. All I drank was just, like, Florida sweet tea, And that's it, And I just drink water. And we had a pump that pumped the water straight out the ground. I drink the water out the ground, and that's it. It was the books that kept me awake at night. It wasn't like caffeine or nothing like that. I get into that book, and I could not stop. I could not stop reading. I would, like, hold going to the bathroom until, like, for as long as I could. And sometimes I would sit there the whole night. No, I wouldn't eat or drink. I wouldn't even take a sip of water for like 7 hours straight. I'd just be reading. I couldn't get enough of that. I'd be sitting up. I'd be laying down. I'd be, all over the place, just reading that book. Whatever book it was that I was reading at the time. And that was basically like my lifestyle up until I found a specific book. There was 2 books that I found that really changed my life at that time. But inshallah, I'm going to get into those 2 books, inshallah, in the next episode, inshallah. إلهنا سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.